hard part is getting in. Once you're in, everybody wants to see you succeed.
Yes.
And it's not just words, like that has happened. So, you know, sometimes you hear stories about like, you know, the run around with tenure and what's it going to take. And everybody is being as explicit as possible as far as like, are you on track, and checking in, like, how are you doing? You know, what are your plans for the next couple months, next year? So, but in terms of labor breakdown, it is about, you know, the about 40, 40, 20 as far as service. There is a fair amount of protection actually against overcommitting yourself with service, because it's easy to do. Committee work is a huge time suck, and especially if you have a personal interest in any committees that you either volunteer to or get assigned to, it can eat up a lot of time. So you do have to be careful, and if you have a good faculty mentor, whether it's an official or unofficial capacity, or a chair, can help you. Like, for example, last fall we did a search position for a new member in ecology. The chair asked me to be on that, and I said, do you really think this is a good move for me? This is my, I'm going up for my mid-tenure review here. And she said, yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, but I want your opinion on this, because this is, I do molecular ecology stuff. So that was it was an honor for me that she said, yeah, it is going to be a lot of work for you, but I want you on this. So sometimes you can't say no. Other times you should ask if you can say. Because I said, is this something I should say no to? Like, are you testing me? I want you to do this. So, but anyway, so with a good chair or honest colleagues in there, they can hopefully help you steer clear. And the chair has been very clear about not overcommitting yourself, and that you're doing fine in terms of your service commitment. As far as at William and Mary, service on search certainly, also masters and PhD committees, serving on those, and freshman advising. All these things count, and as well as any of the other committees that you're going to see, like undergraduate curriculum committee, the graduate committee, and so forth. So service for me hasn't been too bad. It's actually been quite interesting, and it is very eye-opening being on the other side, having been on my first real search committee for a new faculty position, thinking, yeah, people are thinking about me in the same terms not too long ago.
I'd be like, they looked at that.
Yeah. They notice everything. So
everything.
All those little things you're putting together for your portfolio and your statements of research, and it matters. Somebody will look at that. So for teaching, because teaching and research are both, you're expected to do well in them, I would say that those expectations are realistic in that I'm required to do essentially one classroom course with lab and one seminar course per year, right? So basically one semester it's the seminar lab, the other semester it's, the lecture lab, and the other semester it's the seminar course. The lecture, my course is capped at like 60, so it's not huge. Developing the lab is challenging. And then the seminar course is capped at 15, which seems small, but it's discussion-based, it's reading and writing-based, and all the assignments are writing, so there's a lot of grading involved in that. But because of that course load, then, you can manage to limp along with the research when the semester is, and the students are in the same boat. It's hard for them to stay in the lab because their primary objective is coursework, right? But so in terms of being research active, I think it's a reasonable course load. Of course, you talk with people in other departments, and they give you the dagger eyes when they find out like you only have to teach that many classes, but it's still a lot. For teaching, your first preparation is going to be ridiculous, so just plan on it. That's all you're going to do. I was saying over a coffee ahead of time, just don't reinvent the wheel. Get a good textbook, model your course off of that, right, and then make it great over time. Start with it, if it has to, just make it good enough. Otherwise, make it good, and it can be great really later. Because the other thing is, if you start out of the gate wonderful, then guess where? The only way you can go is right. So everybody wants to see this. So it's something to think about. And I've had great conversations. We have a rotating chair position, so they've switched chairs even since I've been there. So both the now former chair and the current chair have been fantastic at staying in touch and just being open to having discussions. So we've talked about different aspects of course design, as well as with my faculty colleagues, especially with assessment. That's a perennial question. How do you assess student performance? And I don't have any great answers for that, but we can talk about it later. So teaching, and then research is really, it goes like this. Here's the summer, and there's the rest of the year. Okay? And I mean, that's how it has to be for the way my position is structured. We are expected to maintain an independent, that means externally funded, and active, which means you're publishing about every other year, research program. That's another reason why I was drawn to this. Is it is an active research program. All of the faculty members in my department do contribute useful research to their field, but not at a ridiculous rate, right? So it's for me, it was in that sweet spot where I wanted to be, where you're doing enough that you're still, you're still seen as like, oh, this guy's current in this field. People might actually want to go to my research program to do research in that field, but I'm not top of the nation, right? And in terms of supporting research, so one way that the college supports research is, first of all, by at least the department, by minding your teaching load, by not saddling so much that you can't possibly find the time to write grants or be in a lab at all. The startup, so I did get startup with my position. That's something to look into when you're interviewing. Certainly ask about it. As far as what's reasonable and what's competitive, talk to people and figure out what you want to do. What's within the limitations or the opportunities within your given position. But startup is one way that active research is funded. There's a lot of internal grants that the college makes available, both to faculty as well as to particularly undergraduate researchers, because I have all undergraduates right now, and I have since the beginning. I will be getting a postdoc this fall, so that'll be a new experience for me, which, by the way, got the funding for that one internally through the college, through a Mellon Foundation grant that I wrote to and got the money. So there is internal support financially to get you up and running until you get to the point that you get your big score, where you knock over a bank. There's a grants office, which is a fantastic. When you're interviewing, ask about this. Is there a grants office that will help you do the submission? These people are wonderful, and regardless of whether you get the grant or not, you should get them chocolates, flowers, anything. Just make sure they're taken care of. Just the internal culture for the college, let alone the department, is supportive of an active research program. The students are beating down my door. I mean, I had one student who just graduated with honors and presented her work at ASM, American Society for Microbiology. It's a national organization in my field. Started with me as a sophomore, emailed me when I was still finishing up my postdoc. I want to work in your lab. Well, I don't have a lab yet, but I'll let you know when I get there. So not every school is like this. I understand that. It's a great, I'm counting my blessings. The hard thing for me has been learning how to say no and how to say it nicely and when to say no, and that's a separate issue. But there is an existing culture that these undergrads will they'll find you. So, and then the facilities. There's a lot of good sharing between faculty who have, like, for example, a particular type of microscope that's theirs, right? But they'll let you use it provided you don't break it. And then core facilities that all of the faculty have use for. So for those of you that are getting close and looking at positions, always something to ask about: what facilities are available? What are the costs? Are they free for people who are in the department? Is it a nominal cost? Is it a per sample cost? And some of you guys, this might not matter for. Maybe library facilities or online resources would be a better question to ask as far as what we have access to in terms of maintaining research and getting it going. So for me, summers are a busy time with research. They're a fun time. We're in there very intensively, and it's a great group of students. For me, it's always been important to take care of them, because who knows what the job market is like, and they're never gonna, I'm making enough to get by, but you're never gonna make great money in this field. It's just something you have to get used to. So the best thing that you can do is see that your students are taken care of, right? So we do things like movie night and bowling night and challenge other labs to laser tag and things like that, and it's a lot of fun, right? I mean, this is how now that I'm running the zoo, this is how I want to run it, right? So let's see. So in terms of tenure, making a tenure decision, it breaks down along those lines. Your teaching, your research, and your service. Service is, in my book, fairly easy. In fact, you have to be careful that you're not doing too much. Teaching, teach their own. Whether you like it or not, for us, student evaluations still carry the most weight, and it's hard to get away from that. But they're looking at the aggregate data, so you can survive, and you're never going to please everybody. There's always going to be you're like, yes, I nailed the semester, and these two students are just like, I hated this guy, like, know what he's talking about, just shut up, maybe you learn something. And it hurts, right? And that's another thing you have to learn how to deal with. But those two nasty ones, I mean, there are real human beings in the department who are looking at this and saying, these kids, whatever. You know, everybody else thought it was great, so that's what it'll be like.